organizational full board meeting to order on Wednesday, January 9th at 3 p.m. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3 is roll call. Mike, is everybody checked in? Great, we'll close item number 3. Item number 4, invocation, Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we can bow our heads. The Lord created this day for gain, not loss. Success, not failure. Positive actions, not negative thoughts. Lord, inspire us with the desire for greatness, to use wisely the gifts of talents that you have generously given to us. They are tools to be used, not treasures to be stored. May all the work that is to be done today is for the betterment of our great county of Macomb. In your name, Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt the agenda by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Drollet. Please vote. Unless there's any discussion. Oh, yeah. Great. Item passes. Item number 6, public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? You have 5 minutes. Any members of the public wishing to speak? And seeing nobody, we'll close public participation and move on to item number 7, elections. Item 7A is the election of the board chair. Are there any nominations for board chair? Commissioner Lucido.
I'd like to elect you, Bob Smith, as our chair.
Nominate.
Sorry.
You can elect
Nominate.
me, hopefully, after. Second on that? Support. Commissioner Drollet, thank you. Any other nominations for board chair? Any other nominations for board chair? I really don't want to ask again, but any other nominations for board chair? Seeing none, we'll close and vote. What do you mean motion fails? Oh, just kidding. Motion passed 11-0. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of your trust and support in this, and I have a few things to say, but we'll talk at new business on what we're going to look forward to in the next few years. Item 7B, vice chair. Need nomination for vice chair. Commissioner Romano.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Carabelli as vice chair.
Second. Support by Commissioner Leonetti. Any other nominations for vice chair?
Move to close nominations.
Move to close. Support for that. We'll close nominations and vote. Well, seeing nobody else being nominated also, we will vote for. All right, please vote. Commissioner Carabelli, congratulations. You have anything you'd like to say?
Thank you.
Well said. Item 7C. Need a motion for Sergeant at Arms. Who would like to nominate Elizabeth?
Second.
All right, Majak, supported by Carabelli. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Seeing no other nominations, we'll close nominations and vote.
You can vote. 1 no, and that's her.
Congratulations, Ms. Lucido, on your election to Sergeant at Arms. You did a great job last 2 years, so. We're going to close item number 7, move to item number 8, board rules. We need a motion to adopt the temporary board rules. A motion, Carabelli, support by Commissioner Drollet. I'll speak to that first. These are just a carry forward of last year's board rules. We do plan on, and we started looking at this before, and it got a little overwhelming, but we're going to look at amending these board rules and just tweaking them as the first quarter rolls through. So this will just be a carry through for last year. I don't see any. Oh, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. If you remember last year, most of the commissioners didn't have issues with any of the changes. It was sort of between me and Commissioner Carabelli. So we were wondering if the commission is okay that we have like an ad hoc committee with an employee and Commissioner Carabelli and myself, and we create the new board rules, and we don't have to go line by line in them when we vote. It could just be up or down. If that's okay with everybody, we would be willing to do that.
No objection here.
I don't see any speakers to object to it, so I think that sounds great. We are going to vote, though, on 8A, the temporary board rules, and the motion to adopt. Item passes unanimously. 8B.
Bless you.
Bless you. I need a motion to approve board rules ad hoc workshop, which is what Commissioner Kleinfeld just mentioned. Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Haw. Welcome, by the way, Commissioner Haw. We'll get to that in a minute. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Appointment to Board Rules Ad Hoc Work Group. I'd like to appoint Commissioner Kleinfeld, Commissioner Carabelli, and Crystal Brenner for that group. Obviously, they'll be talking with all of you, regarding these board rules, but I'd like those three to be on this committee. Anyone has any, I need a motion to concur with that. Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Drollet. I don't see any discussion on this, so seeing none, please vote. And motion passes 11-0. Item number 9, committee structure. I need a motion to adopt the 2019-2020 committee structure. If I get a motion for this, I'm going to let Crystal speak to this just for a minute. Commissioner Carabelli, supported by Commissioner Kraft. Crystal, I've spoke with most of you about the reasons for changing the committee structure a bit. And just so some of you newer commissioners know that this has happened several times over the term that I've been here, and they've kind of adapted as the years have gone by, just seeing what we really choose to focus on a little more and how to better balance off these subcommittees. So one of the things, our staff really is behind all of the putting these meetings together and getting the agendas all set for them along with the committee chairs. So I asked them to look at this and see how we can balance this off a little better based on what they've been seeing for the last few years. So Crystal, if you wouldn't mind kind of giving a little explanation on what we're looking to do here.
Sure. Most of you probably remember that the capital plan requests didn't used to always come to the board, but last year then they did. So those really filled up the infrastructure committee meetings. So what we did was separate information technology and F&O so that all of those requests weren't on one agenda, and it would help better balance your agendas out. Also, there were a lot of new department directors and elected officials over the past few years, so that kind of changed the volume of requests we were seeing from those departments too. So we just reorganized which departments are reporting to the different committees, and hopefully the agendas will be more balanced. We ended up with some really long meetings and some shorter meetings, and hopefully this will help balance it out. Another major change is, I know a lot of you guys realize we were voting on items from committee and then in finance, which was also a committee of the whole, and then at full board. So the Finance Committee will only be for quarterly reports, for budget season, and things like that. That will allow them to focus on getting that information, finance to target those meetings so that those reports don't get put off till next month, and next month those meetings aren't going to be held as regularly. And it will allow you guys to keep up on the capital plan, the quarterly reports from that, so that when you're getting those requests, we're not having to add extra meetings to get an update on the capital plan and things like that. And then when it comes to budget season, you can focus more closely on the departments and not have to go through all that information too. So those were some of our thoughts that in our observations over the past couple of years. So that was what our intention was when we set up the new committee structure.
Thank you. And just to carry on with the finance, audit, and budget one, you know, we adopted some resolutions at the end of last year to help our budget process going forward. And those have a lot to do with the finance, audit, and budget, so that these dates that we're asking for quarterly reports and capital updates will come to that committee, and they'll have a date certain that they're gonna have to be there. So it'll make this will hopefully what we're looking to do, and everybody I'm sure agrees, is to try to make our budget process much more streamlined by having a lot of the information that we try to digest in a month and a half come to us steadily over the year, so that we have a little better handle on things at the end of the year on what's been going on, including capital projects, updates regularly on where we are with capital projects. I think that this will help us considerably by having a specific committee dedicated to that. Any speakers? I don't have any speakers on this at this time. Commissioner Drollet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to make sure I understand the process then, there will not be a traditional finance meeting as there had been every month in the past.
Correct.
So when we approve something in another committee, a committee of the whole, it doesn't then go to finance to be approved in a quarterly meeting? It just goes directly to the full board meeting where we vote on it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, we had a lot of meetings where basically we were just rehashing without. Now, in the past, a lot of times we would find new issues in between that, and it gave them some time to get some answers to some questions, but we can still tackle that at full board meetings. We have plenty of time for that. So this was, basically a result of a lot of that, listening to what everybody was thinking and kind of seeing the common sense in it. Commissioner Kleinfeld?
Thank you, Chair. A couple things. There are items traditionally voted on by finance, but they come up once in a while. If that happens, I think we could easily just tack a finance meeting onto somebody else's existing meeting if there's one agenda item. And with respect to the quarterly budgets, if that is the only thing on the agenda, and we know that a week ahead of time that there are no capital reports or anything else, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of discussion, we could then at that time have a discussion as to whether or not that should also go on to another one. Hopefully, we'll have a lot on those things to discuss, so that won't be the case. That's what I'm hoping is we will be looking at a lot of different things, and we'll have plenty of things to discuss. Great. I just wanted to point out the name internal services, isn't that what they call the budget on, like electricity and stuff? Should it be like infrastructure services, so that there's no confusion with regard to everybody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur what you're saying, but I also don't think there will be a lot of items on there. This is going to give the board, I believe, the opportunity to dive deep into projects where if there's a project that was approved and it's a year-long project and you're 6 months into it, we would like to know 6 months into it what has been spent out of what has been allocated. This will be a process to really take a look at these projects. So I think there will be enough on those meetings to make them very productive. So don't sell it short yet. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff on there. Thank you.
I agree, and I don't think Commissioner Kleinfeld was selling it short. I think, but the finance, the original comment about certain things that might need a finance meeting, of course, we could always tack that on to another meeting to get that in if it's required. You have something else?
Well,
Go ahead.
any of those types of things that I've noted, any of those types of things that have been noted over the past couple of years, there aren't only 4 finance meetings over this year. So there are some extra, some other months for probably what you're thinking of. I know some new ones might come up, but we did try to allow for everything that we knew to expect for.
Thank you. I don't see any other speakers on this, so we would please vote. Item passes 11-0. Item 10, meeting schedule. 10A, full board meeting dates. Need a motion to approve the full board meeting dates. Commissioner Myjack, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. I will speak to this momentarily, just for a moment. We have we are obligated at this meeting to set our full year schedule of full boards. We are not necessarily obligated for the committee meeting calendars, which is we're going to discuss next. But this is one that we have to absolutely take care of at this meeting. So if everybody has looked at it and has no issues with it, I don't see any speakers on this. I'm sorry. It's not updating here. Okay, great. All right, I don't have any speakers on this. Please vote. Okay, 10A passes 11-0. 10B, Committee 2019 Committee meeting calendar. Need a motion to approve what we have here. Commissioner Kraft, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. I will speak to this shortly. I think I've spoke to most of you over the past month talking about different committee structures, days, and ways to do things. What we've come up with in general is that the way it was working the past few years, the days that we had on there seemed to work, but we have a new committee structure. So that being said, the committee structure calendar that's up for adoption will be through April right now.
Yes, the one they have attached is through May, but if you just want to adopt it.
Okay. We can do it through May, and we can also take a look back at it. If things are going sideways on that, we can look at it. But, you know, just to make sure that all of these meetings, everything flows into what we thought was going to happen. We always know that, you know, there's times where we have to add meetings and times where, you know, some meetings will get changed. But at this point, what we've been doing seemed to be working. So that's the proposal on the table. Anybody's obviously able to speak on this. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. Originally, I had requested to go through February because we've never scheduled meetings during MAC conferences. And this year, we've scheduled my meeting during the MAC conference in March. Not the August one, the March one. And I can't leave the conference until the very end, until it's over, because our last meeting at the conference is the MAC board meeting. So that's my committee, and it's on the 27th of March. So we've just never done it before, so I didn't think to, you know, but I did talk to Patty about the fact that both of those conferences originally had dates scheduled on them.
Okay.
Just an FYI on that one.
I'll say that Crystal said she thought when you guys got your lines crossed up, she thought you were talking about the August one, or she would have moved that. And those are
Okay, yeah, the August
Yeah.
one, yeah, there was meetings for the entire thing.
Right.
And I'm hoping commissioners might come up for that, so.
great. Well, I'd say that would be something that as a board action, we could move, we could change on that. If we wanted to go up through what she has scheduled right now,
Okay.
then I would be certainly, because I would love to come up there to that meeting too. So I
Okay.
think it would be great for the commissioners to show up. So we'll certainly move that meeting.
All right, just
group
letting you
effort.
know that the March 27th, there's no way I'll make it back into town for that. Thank
We
you.
will handle that. Any other speakers on this? All right, please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Item 11, correspondence from the OCE. I do not have any correspondence from them at this time, so we'll close item number 11 and go to item number 12, new business. Any commissioners with new business? Commissioner Romano?
I think you mentioned it, but I think it's worth mentioning again. I want to welcome
Yes.
Mr. Harold Hall to the board, and I'm sure that from his past experience, he's going to add a lot to it. So, welcome, Harold.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, you took part of my new business, but go ahead, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I had discussed over the years going to a practice when we have to dive into some things of doing workshops. And I know that we've all been requested to do some meetings with respect to an item that may be on the agenda in the future. And I would like to do an informal workshop with the whole board, you know, in the conference room. It would be an open meeting. It would be open to the public. But at least that gives all of us the opportunity to hear what's on everybody else's mind. We did that for the $65 million project, and I felt it worked out really well. So I would like commissioners just to consider doing that. I understand some people have gotten dates. I haven't gotten any dates yet. Thank you.
Commissioner Carabelli?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I concur, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what board members were here, the actual conference room over here was designed for just that, for work sessions. So you can actually sit down and roll out stuff on that dais over there. So that room was actually designed for us to be able to do exactly what you're asking, so you can all get together and work on it. I think it's a great idea.
Yes, go ahead.
It changes over the years. Way back then, Shepka agreed with me that doing those groups at that 65 did violate the Open Meetings Act. Now, I've read the newest handbook, and it's changed, and it's really, it's a little bit harder to make that determination. I think you could go either way. So I don't necessarily think it is. It was back then, but regardless of whether it was or not, our deciding to do it that way turned out a lot better, I felt, for everybody involved. Thank you.
Commissioner Drollet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the meetings that are being scheduled are about a public policy issue. I'm not sure it's a great idea to have private meetings with public officials getting together. I like the idea of having an open meeting where we all are presented with the information and it's open to the public. It is a public policy issue. I don't know what needs to be said in some sort of a private meeting that's shouldn't be there for the public to hear.
I will make that request that obviously that this is presented in a public forum too. I mean, we are a public body, and that's how we, you know, our commission does business, and we also speak of different things, you know, on our own, offline. But as far as decisions and things like that, we certainly are a public body and should be doing them in the public. I'll make a request that happens also along with any other meetings that anybody would like to have. Any other commissioners on new business? Commissioner Leonetti.
Just want to concur with Commissioner Carabelli a little bit and what Commissioner Kleinfeld's saying. I think, especially the way last budget season went, I think it's a good idea if we try to at times do these workshops, use that other room, as long as it's our work sessions, as you want to call them, right? As long as we let the public know that we're doing that, I think it's a good idea that that we all get together and do things like that. I think sometimes we make our greatest decisions, you know, when we work together and hear every commissioner's point of view, and oftentimes we get a good compromise. I always like to use the whole example of the jail with the one situation. You know, we'll put our minds on that, work together on that. Commissioner Carabelli did a great job on that, and we saved this county a lot of money, and that's ultimately what our job is to do. So if we can get together on some of those work sessions and do that this year, I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Great. And what you said was work together on this, and that's what I'm going to start with my new business, is that I appreciate being the chairman of a board that works together. And it's very unusual in politics, locally and in state level, and heck, even in the county level in other counties, where Republicans and Democrats actually sit down and discuss items and that are good for the county. And when we don't vote our R's or our D's here, we vote what we think is best. And it makes it easy, right, to be the chairman of a board that everybody talks and everybody, you know, we don't always agree, but we talk about it and we get it out in public. And I like, and I'm very happy and I'm proud that you guys support me as chair for 2 more years. So thank you very much. And I'll have a few more things to say beginning next meeting about where our direction will be going, but a lot of you know that our direction is going to continue on in the direction we've been in the last couple of years, kind of establishing our lane as a legislative body and handling the budget, being proactive on things so that we don't get tied up at the end in a log jam for budgets. And that, you know, I mean, that's our main goal here, and our main purpose is to be the purveyors of the county taxpayer money. And I think we're getting better at that role all the time, and I'd like to continue our direction that way. What I really want to say, though, is what everybody said already, and that's welcome, Harold. It's great to have you on board. It's not often that you get a new commissioner that probably has more experience in general politics than the rest of the board, and that's appreciated because you coming in at a different level where it's not really a 2-year learning process. So we're very happy to have you in that seat. Anything you'd like to say?
Just say thank you, Chairman, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody on the board.
Great. Looking forward to having you. That being said, any other new business? Commissioner Carabelli, all the new business you'd like.
2 things. Number 1, you're not all Republicans? No, I'm just kidding. I do have to ask you a serious question. Leanne, is today a special day? Is today a special day for anything? Something happened special, like
Nothing good.
62 years ago? Today's Leanne's birthday, so if you want to wish Leanne a happy birthday, Leanne.
Please, no.
No.
Great. All right. Seeing no other new business, we're going to move to public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? Any members of the public wishing to speak? Any members or new clerks wishing to speak? Welcome, Fred Miller. Sorry I didn't welcome you earlier, but thank you for being here. We're going to close public participation, and I need a motion to adjourn. Commissioner Hall, supported by Commissioner Drolet. All right, meeting adjourned.